My dear friends, success is not always about the big decisions we make in life. It is often about the small, hidden habits that we cultivate every single day. You see, everyone wants success, God, but not everyone is willing to build the silent foundations for it. Success is like a tree. People admire its fruits, but they forget that its strength comes from the roots hidden deep underground. My friends, one of the greatest secrets to success is consistency. Now, many people think success comes from a single powerful effort, a sudden explosion of motivation, or one lucky break. But the truth is, life doesn't work that way. Success is not the result of intensity, it is the outcome of consistency. God, imagine going to the gym for 10 hours in one single day. You might come out with sore muscles, but you won't come out fit. Now imagine going to the gym for 30 minutes every day for 6 months. Slowly, without even noticing, your body transforms. The change is invisible at first, but the results are undeniable later. This is the power of consistency. Most people, unfortunately, rely on motivation. They wait for the right mood, the right environment, or the right opportunity to take action. But motivation is like a guest. It comes, it stays for a short while, and then it leaves. Consistency, however, is like a family member. It stays with you day after day. Those who achieve great things in life are not necessarily the most talented or the most intelligent and God. They are simply the most consistent. They show up every day, whether they feel like it or not. Think about a drop of water falling on a stone. One drop means nothing. 10 drops still mean nothing. But thousands of drops falling steadily, over time, carve a hole into the hardest rock. Did the water have strength? No, it had consistency. The same applies to our lives. One day of hard work will not change your destiny. But years of consistent effort, even small ones, create miracles. Take the example of reading. Many people set a resolution. This year I will read 50 books. For the first week, they read enthusiastically. Then life gets busy and slowly the books start collecting dust. Instead, if you commit to just 10 pages a day, without fail, God, by the end of the year, you will have completed several books. 10 pages don't look like much today. When multiplied by 365, it becomes a library of wisdom. Consistency also builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. God, every time you show up for your commitment, you strengthen the belief that you are reliable. And every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken that trust. Ours and God, this inner trust is the foundation of confidence. Many people wonder why they lack self-belief and God. It is because they keep breaking the small commitments they make to themselves. Consistency is the quiet voice inside you that says, I will do it, and I will keep doing it no matter what. Even nature teaches us this lesson. The sun does not rise one day at 5 a.m. and then take a vacation the next day. The seasons do not come in one burst and then disappear. The cycle of nature is consistent, and because of that, life on earth flourishes. Imagine if the sun decided to shine only when it was in the mood. Life would collapse. In the same way, if we only work on our goals when we feel like it, our success collapses. So, consistency may look boring, unglamorous, and even invisible in the moment. But in the long run, it is the very thing that separates achievers from dreamers. The world applauds intensity, but it is consistency that silently builds empires. My dear friends, discipline is often misunderstood. People think discipline is about strict rules, punishments, or someone standing over your head forcing you to act a certain way. And God. But the true test of discipline is not in public, it is in private. When others are watching, ours and God, most people can behave well, work hard, or even pretend to be focused. But what truly defines us is what we do when no one is watching. That is where discipline is born. Consider a student preparing for an exam. When the teacher is present in class, the student appears attentive, taking notes, nodding at the right moments, and God. But what really matters is what the student does alone at home. Does he quietly revise his notes? Does he resist the temptation to spend endless hours scrolling on his phone? The discipline practiced in solitude determines the marks on his report card. Similarly, in life, our results are not decided by how we act in the spotlight, but by how we use the quiet hours when nobody notices. Think of a musician. People see the grand performance on stage, the thunderous applause, and the admiration of thousands. God. But they don't see the countless hours spent practicing in a small room, repeating the same scale again and again until it becomes perfect. That is discipline in private. The audience sees the shine, the musician knows the grind. The problem with most of us is that we crave recognition. We want to post every little effort on social media, seeking approval, seeking applause. But discipline does not grow in the soil of attention, it grows in silence. 16 hours in God. It is about those early mornings when you get up to work on your dreams while the world is still asleep. It is about saying no to unhealthy habits when no one is around to clap for you. It is about finishing the work even when nobody is asking for updates. These private acts of discipline are invisible seeds. In time, they sprout into visible success. Let me share something simple. Imagine two friends join a gym. The first one is full of energy when the trainer is around. He lifts weights loudly, showing off his strength, and everyone notices him. The second friend is quiet. He doesn't make much noise. He goes regularly, even when the trainer is not paying attention. Weeks later, the first friend loses motivation, but the second one, through his silent discipline, builds strength, endurance, and health. Success is not about making noise. It is about being consistent when no one claps for you. Discipline in private also means living with integrity. It is easy to be polite when people are watching. But are we respectful in our thoughts when no one hears. It is easy to appear hardworking in front of a boss, but do we still give our best effort when working alone? And God, the greatest measure of character is not what we do in public, but what we do in private. History shows us this truth again and again. Leaders, thinkers, artists, and inventors became extraordinary, not because they sought attention, but because behind closed doors, they had an extraordinary sense of discipline. They read when others were lazy, practiced when others slept, and created when others wasted time. In the end, real discipline is not about impressing others. It is about keeping promises to yourself. If you can control your actions when no one is watching, you will have no problem succeeding when the world is watching. The lights of success may shine on stage, God, but the foundation of that success is always built in the dark corners of private discipline. Gratitude, my friends, is one of the most underrated yet powerful habits that lead to success. Most of the time, people believe that success is all about hard work, strategy, or ambition. Of course, these things matter, but without gratitude, success feels empty. 16 hours in God. Gratitude is the quiet habit that transforms what we have into enough and more. It shifts our focus from what is missing to what is already present. And that simple shift changes how we approach life. You see, the human mind is trained to chase. It constantly says, 6 hours in God. I will be happy when I get this. I will be satisfied when I achieve that. But life is not designed that way. No matter how much we achieve, there will always be something more to desire. If we do not learn gratitude, we will live like thirsty travelers drinking salty water. No matter how much we consume, we will always remain thirsty. Gratitude is that sweet water which quenches the thirst of the soul. Think about a child who receives a small toy. For the child, that toy is a treasure. He hugs it, God plays with it, and shows it to everyone with pride. But as we grow older, our sense of appreciation weakens. We forget to value the little things. Our health, our family, the food on our plate, even the breath we take each moment. Yet successful people, the ones who truly live fulfilled lives, have a hidden habit. They practice gratitude daily. Gratitude is not just about saying, thank you. When life is smooth, real gratitude is when we can say, thank you, even during challenges. Because every difficulty comes with a hidden lesson. Every failure brings with it an opportunity to grow. When we cultivate the habit of gratitude, we stop asking, why is this happening to me? And we start asking, what is this teaching me? That one question changes frustration into learning and pain into growth. Imagine waking up each morning and before touching your phone or rushing into your tasks and God, you quietly count 3 things you are grateful for. It may sound simple, even childish, but this little ritual changes the way your day unfolds. Instead of starting with stress or comparison, you start with appreciation. A grateful heart is lighter, more open, and more focused. And such a heart attracts more success because it sees opportunities instead of obstacles. There's a beautiful truth in life: what you appreciate appreciates. If you appreciate your relationships, they deepen. If you appreciate your work, your skills improve. If you appreciate your health, you take better care of it. A gratitude multiplies what you already have. Without it, even abundance feels insufficient. With it, even little feels abundant. Let me give you a small example. Two people wake up to the same rainy morning. The first person grumbles, "Oh no, what a gloomy day, I hate this weather." The second smiles, "What a blessing, the earth is being nourished." Now, both are facing the same reality, but their experiences are entirely different. And God, a gratitude is not about changing circumstances. It is about changing perspective. And a positive perspective is a silent magnet for success. The habit of gratitude also protects us from arrogance. When we achieve something, it reminds us that we did not do it alone. That countless people, known and unknown, supported us on the way. Gratitude keeps us humble, and humility keeps us grounded, no matter how high we rise. So, gratitude is not just a feel-good emotion. It is a habit, God, a discipline of the heart. And when practiced daily, it silently shapes our mindset, our relationships, and ultimately our path to success. Self-reflection, my friends, is like holding a mirror up to your inner world. Just as we look into a mirror to check our face before going out, we must also check our mind and actions before moving forward in life. Unfortunately, most people spend more time looking at their phones than looking within. We live in a fast-paced world where action is glorified, but reflection is ignored. Yet, without reflection, action loses direction. Imagine driving a car at full speed but never checking your rear-view mirror or map. You may feel the thrill of speed, but you may end up far from your destination, or worse, in danger. Similarly, if we keep rushing in life without pausing to reflect, we may achieve things, but not necessarily the right things. Success without self-reflection can easily become a ladder leaning against the wrong wall. Self-reflection does not mean overthinking or constantly doubting ourselves. It is a gentle process of asking, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? God, what lesson is life trying to teach me? These small questions guide us back to our purpose. Without them, we risk repeating the same mistakes over and over again. But with them, we grow a little wiser each day. Think about the habit of journaling. Many successful people, from leaders to inventors, quietly keep journals. They write about their thoughts, their successes, and their failures. Why? Because writing forces clarity for 16 hours in God. Thoughts floating in the mind are often vague and confusing, but when we put them on paper, we begin to see patterns. We notice what inspires us, what drains us, what habits are lifting us, and what habits are pulling us down. This is the power of self-reflection. Let me share a simple story. A farmer once worked tirelessly every day, planting seeds, watering crops, and tending to his land. But he never stopped to notice that his soil was losing fertility. His hard work continued, and God, but his harvests grew smaller each year. It wasn't a lack of effort. It was a lack of reflection. Only when he paused to study his soil did he realize he needed to rotate crops and replenish nutrients. Reflection saved his farm. In the same way, our lives can become unfruitful, not because of lack of effort, but because of lack of reflection. There is also a spiritual aspect to reflection. At night, before sleeping, if we take just 5 minutes to review our day, we see life differently. Did I speak kindly today? Did I waste my time? Did I learn something new? These questions are not meant to create guilt, but awareness. And awareness is the first step to transformation. A person who reflects daily becomes more intentional, more mindful, and more aligned with their purpose. Self-reflection also builds emotional intelligence. Seen on God, when we reflect on our reactions, why we got angry, why we felt insecure, why we became impatient, we slowly understand ourselves better. And the better we understand ourselves, the better we can understand others. Leaders who lack reflection often become arrogant. Leaders who practice reflection become compassionate. The truth is, success is not only about moving forward. It is also about pausing, looking back, and realigning. Self-reflection is that pause. It is invisible, it takes place in silence, but it saves us years of wandering in the wrong direction. People see the results of success, as in God, but they don't realize those results were shaped in the quiet moments when a person reflected, learned, and adjusted. So, my friends, life is not just about doing more. It is about becoming more. God, and becoming more happens only through the hidden habit of self-reflection. One of the hidden habits that quietly lead to success is the ability to prioritize learning before leisure. Now, leisure is not wrong. We all need rest, entertainment, and relaxation. Ours and God, but the problem begins when leisure becomes the priority and learning becomes an afterthought. Most people give their best hours to entertainment, watching endless shows, scrolling through social media, or engaging in distractions, while learning, the very thing that can change their lives, is postponed again and again. Think about it. How often do we hear people say, 20 hours in God? I don't have time to read a book, or I'm too busy to learn a new skill. 16 hours in God. Yet those same people somehow find hours to binge, watch series, or endlessly scroll on their phones. 16 hours. God, the truth is not that they don't have time, but that they don't prioritize correctly. Successful people have a hidden habit. They reverse this order. In 16 hours and God, they give their attention first to learning and then enjoy leisure guilt-free. This one simple habit creates a huge difference in the long run. Learning before leisure is like sowing before harvesting. Ours and God, imagine a farmer who spends his whole day resting under a tree and only goes to plant seeds when he feels like it, what harvest will he get? Very little, if any. But a wise farmer plants first, waters the soil, and only then takes rest. Similarly, if we sow the seeds of knowledge, skill, and wisdom before indulging in entertainment, our harvest of success will always be rich. There's a saying that the rich have big libraries while the poor have big televisions. This isn't to insult anyone. It's a reflection of priorities. And God, those who make learning a habit eventually create opportunities that leisure alone can never provide. A book, a course, a mentor, and God, or even a thoughtful conversation can shape the mind and expand the vision. Leisure entertains the moment, but learning prepares the future. Consider the story of a young man who wanted to become a musician. He loved listening to music, going to concerts, and enjoying the vibe. But when it came to practicing scales, learning instruments, and studying theory, he often delayed it. His leisure came first, and learning came last. As a result, years passed, and he remained an admirer rather than a creator. On the other hand, another young man spent his mornings practicing, learning, and sharpening his skills. His evenings, he allowed himself leisure. Over time, one stayed a fan, while the other became an artist. The difference was not talent. It was the habit of learning before leisure. Another benefit of prioritizing learning is mental growth. Entertainment relaxes the mind, but learning stretches it. A stretched mind never returns to its old size. Once you learn something new, your vision of life expands, your decision-making improves, and your opportunities multiply. Success does not come to the one who knows everything, God, but to the one who is constantly learning something. And God, this doesn't mean we must abandon leisure completely. It means creating a simple rule like, earn your leisure by learning first. Read before watching television. Practice your craft before playing games. Build your skills before scrolling your phone. And God, when you do this, not only do you progress in life, but your leisure also feels more rewarding. It is no longer a guilty escape, but a well-deserved rest. In the long run, the habit of putting learning before leisure compounds like interest. What you learn daily builds up into expertise, wisdom, and character. The world applauds the results, but the secret lies in the quiet choice made every day. To grow before relaxing, to learn before entertaining. Silence, my friends, is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of wisdom. 16 hours in God. In today's world where everyone wants to be heard, very few want to truly listen. Everyone is eager to speak, to share their opinion, to prove their point. But success does not always belong to the loudest voice in the room, God. It often belongs to the one who listens carefully, observes deeply, and speaks thoughtfully. Silence and listening are hidden habits that silently shape the destiny of great leaders, thinkers, and achievers. Have you ever noticed that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth? Perhaps nature is reminding us that we should listen twice as much as we speak. But what happens in reality? Most people do the opposite. While one person is speaking and God, the other is already preparing their reply, waiting impatiently for their turn to talk. True listening is rare. Yet those who practice it discover something extraordinary. They gain understanding that others miss. Let me share a small story. A young disciple once asked his teacher, "Master, how can I become wise?" The teacher smiled and said, "Learn to be silent and listen." The disciple was confused. "That's it." The teacher replied, "Yes, because when you are talking, you are only repeating what you already know. When you listen, you may learn something new." This simple lesson holds the secreting. Listening is the doorway to growth. Silence also gives us the power of observation. When we are quiet, we notice things others overlook. The tone behind the words, the emotions behind the expressions, the meaning behind the silence itself. These subtle observations make us wiser in relationships, in business, and in life. A good listener does not just hear words, they hear the heart. And when people feel heard, they feel valued for 16 hours in God. That is why those listen often build stronger bonds and greater influence than those who only talk. Many conflicts in life are not due to major differences, but due to poor listening. Think about it. How many arguments could have been avoided if one person simply listened without interrupting? God. How many relationships could have been saved if people took the time to understand instead of just reacting? Silence gives us space to think, to process, and to respond with wisdom rather than with impulse. Success also requires listening to life itself. Life speaks to us in whispers. Through failures, through challenges, through unexpected moments. But if we are always talking, always distracted, we miss those gentle lessons. Great inventors, artists, and leaders had the habit of pausing in silence, listening to their intuition, to nature, 10 hours in God, and to the world around them. Out of that silence came breakthroughs. Another aspect of silence is self-control. Speaking is easy. Staying silent requires strength. Sometimes silence protects us from saying words we will regret later. Sometimes it gives us time to choose the right response. Silence is not weakness. It is power under control. It allows us to direct our energy wisely instead of wasting it in endless chatter. Even in our personal growth, silence is essential. When we sit quietly, away from noise, our own thoughts become clear. Listening to ourselves, our inner voice, gives us guidance that external noise often drowns out. Many answers we seek outside are already within us. We just need the silence to hear them. So, silence and listening are not passive acts. They are active, powerful habits. They may not get instant applause, but they build trust, wisdom, and depth. Those who cultivate them discover that in silence, they gain more than they lose, and in listening, they grow more than in speaking. Time, my friends, is the most valuable resource we are given. Unlike money, health, or possessions, once time is gone, it never comes back. We can earn lost money, we can recover from poor health, we can replace material things, but we can never reclaim lost minutes. Yet, ironically, people often treat time as it were endless hours, wasting it on things that add no value to their growth or happiness. Successful people, however, share a hidden habit. They respect time. They guard it, use it wisely, and invest it in things that create lasting results. Imagine life as a bank account. Every morning, we are credited with 400 seconds. There are no rollovers, no carry forwards. At the end of the day, whatever is unused simply disappears. The question is, how do we spend those seconds? Do we invest them in building skills, nurturing relationships, 16 hours in God, and working towards our dreams, or do we spend them carelessly on distractions and regrets and God? The way we use our time determines the quality of our life. Let me share a simple story. A young man once asked an elderly mentor, "What is the secret of your success?" The old man replied, "I never wasted time." The young man laughed, "But everyone wastes a little time." The mentor smiled and said, "Yes, but remember, little drops of water make an ocean, and little leaks can sink a ship." I respected my minutes, and they gave me years of success. This story may sound simple, but it captures a deep truth. Success is nothing but the sum of wisely spent minutes. Wasting time often happens not because people are lazy, because they are unaware. Hours slip away in endless scrolling, mindless gossip, or activities that neither relax the mind nor build the future. Successful people are not necessarily busier, they are simply more conscious. They ask themselves, is this the best use of my time right now? Will this action take me closer to or further from my goals? That small awareness helps them choose wisely. Respecting time also means respecting other people's time. Being punctual, keeping commitments, and valuing schedules reflect discipline and integrity. And God, a person who consistently disrespects time by being late, by procrastinating, by delaying decisions, sends a silent message: your time and mine don't matter. On the other hand, respecting time builds trust. People know they can rely on you, 16 hours in God, and that reliability becomes a hidden advantage in both personal and professional life. There's also a deeper layer. Respecting time means respecting the present moment. Many people live either in the past, endlessly regretting what has already happened, hours and God, or in the future, anxiously worrying about what has not yet come. In the process, they lose today. But today is the only time we truly have. If we use today well, tomorrow automatically improves. And God, respecting time is not just about calendars and clocks. It is about living fully in the present and giving our best to the moment at hand. Let's take an example of two individuals. One spends an hour every day learning, exercising God, or building skills. The other spends the same hour endlessly watching random content. At the end of one day, the difference is invisible. At the end of 1 year, the difference is remarkable. At the end of 5 years, the gap is unbridgeable. The secret wasn't talent or luck. It was simply how they respected time. So, respecting time is not a loud or glamorous habit. It is quiet, often unnoticed. For 16 hours and God. But it's the hidden key that determines whether our life moves forward with purpose or gets stuck in the cycle of delay and regret. Serving others, my friends, is one of those hidden habits that quietly shapes a person's character and success. In today's world, success is often measured by how much we earn, how much we own, or how much recognition we receive. But real success is not just about accumulation. Get is about contribution. A life that is only centered around me will always feel incomplete, and God, no matter how high we rise. But when we begin to serve others, our journey takes on deeper meaning, ours and God, and that meaning gives us the strength and fulfillment that money and fame alone can never provide. Service is not always about grand gestures. It is not only about building schools, hospitals, or donating huge sums of money. Service begins in the smallest acts, offering a listening ear, sharing knowledge, guiding someone in need, or even a simple smile that uplifts another person's day. These invisible acts of kindness often leave the greatest impact. God, the habit of serving others may not be noticed immediately, but over time, it creates goodwill, respect, and blessings that flow back in unexpected ways. Let me share a small story. Ours and God. A man once worked in a company where he quietly helped his colleagues whenever they struggled. He never bragged about it, nor did he expect anything in return. Years later, 10 hours and God, when the company went through tough times, it was these very colleagues who stood by him, supporting him, recommending him, and making sure he never lost his place. His unseen service had built unseen allies. This is the mysterious way life works. When you 16 hours, when you selflessly, life finds ways to serve you back. Serving others also brings humility. Success can sometimes make us proud, making us feel superior. But when we serve, we are reminded that no matter how successful we become, we are still human beings connected to one another. The greatest leaders in history were not just powerful. They were servants of their people. Their legacy is remembered not because of what they demanded, but because of how much they gave. God, another beauty of service is that it shifts our focus. Many people feel burdened by their problems, 16 hours, and God, thinking constantly about what is missing in their own lives. But the moment you help someone else, your own struggles feel lighter. Service does not just uplift the one receiving, it uplifts the one giving. When you extend a hand to someone in need, you also strengthen your own spirit. In practical terms too, service creates success. In business, those who focus only on profit may achieve short-term gains. But those who serve their customers with sincerity build long-term trust. In relationships, those who serve with love and care create bonds that withstand challenges. In communities, those who serve selflessly earn respect that money cannot buy. Service is not a cost. It is an investment that multiplies silently over time. Even a small shift in mindset can make a difference. Instead of asking, what can I get from the situation? Try asking, ours and God, what can I give? This single change turns ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities. Imagine a workplace where every employee thought this way. Imagine a family where every member tried to give more than they took. Imagine a world where service was a daily habit, not an occasional act. That world would be far more successful than any definition of success we know today. So, serving others may seem like a hidden, humble habit, but is one of the most powerful. It not only enriches of others, but also fills our own lives with purpose, meaning, and a kind of success that can never be measured by wealth alone.